Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about collaborative writing. At the end of this video, you're going to understand the benefits of collaborative writing. You're also going to be able to teach the collaborative writing process step by step in your classroom. And you're also going to be able to adapt and enhance this lesson to fit your teaching style as well as your learners' needs. In collaborative writing, the first step is identifying team members. You see here that we have 3 members per team. You'll notice obviously that each member has different roles, and they also have unequal amounts of work per document. The benefit of this is that you can have these members working in different roles for different writing assignments simultaneously. And we're going to discuss this benefit later on in this lesson. But for now, let's talk about the team members. The first member is the content leader. This person researches the bulk of the content. He or she is what you would consider the content expert. Then you have the developmental editor. This person also does research, but in a way that supports what the content leader has already existing in the document. And then the third member is the quality assurance member. This person reviews the document as a finished product, where he or she is looking for ambiguity and formatting errors such as mechanics or grammar. Step 2, you define the writing purpose. Glenn states that foremost, a good assignment has to have a purpose. If you ask students to write a meaningless exercise, that is what you will get. For example, for a writing assignment, you could ask your students to explain why they agree or disagree with Mayor Bloomberg's soda ban of 16 ounces or more in restaurants throughout New York City. Once you've determined your writing purpose, then in step 3, you want to define your audience. Glenn says that students keep their audience in mind as they write, considering an order that reflects the audience's physical or mental point of view. For example, your audience may be you, or it could be your students, the classroom. It could be the community outside of the school, or it may even be Mayor Bloomberg. Once you defined your audience, then step 4 tells us that we should determine the format and style of our writing. Glenn says, teach a particular level of style not as more correct, but as more appropriate for specific rhetorical situations, knowing that the level of style will change depending on the writer's purpose, reader's expectations, demands of the form, and the context. So for determining the format, you would need to determine if the document's going to be for informational purposes. Maybe it's a persuasive piece, like in the example of the soda ban that I gave you earlier. Then you want to determine the style based on the format and the purpose. For example, the paper for the soda ban would probably be formal, especially if you were writing it for an audience like Mayor Bloomberg. In step 5, you're going to gather resources. Glenn says experience provides a source of knowledge, but the composition must still be made. The content leader gathers the information to build the content for the document. For example, he or she would find an article for CBS News that's titled, New York City Soda Ban Would Lead Customers to Consume More Sugary Drinks, the study suggests. After you've gathered all of your resources, then you would do step 6. This is when the content becomes collaborative. Glenn states that the collaborative method allows students to develop audience awareness, to check their perceptions of reality, to strengthen their interpersonal skills, and to take risks. This is where students truly learn who they are as writers. This is when the content becomes collaborative. The content leader shares the content with the developmental editor for the first time. After step 6, we go to step 7, where the content is supplemented by the developmental editor. Glenn says that the entire process, which is collaboration, results in improvement in writing and students' ability to revise. The developmental editor reviews the existing content and supplements the content with any gaps that may be apparent, additional research to help support sources. In step 8, share review of content. And you can do this in lots of different ways, and I'll explain that in a second. But here, this is where the content leader and developmental editor share the content on a common shared site, whether it's through Adobe or Google Drive, where they would post the document and each of them would go through and post sticky notes and comments throughout the document. This way, the students are able to clarify what they have with each other and maintain consistency throughout the document. After we have gone and done a share review of the content, we go to step 9, which is editing and formatting the document. The collaborative team's primary task is providing advice about revising and practice and editing, and all students get an idea of how others approach an assignment. This is where students can really begin to learn from each other. Here, the developmental editor uses these comments that the editor as well as the content leader have provided to adjudicate those comments, to revise and format the document as necessary. After step 9, then, we go to step 10 for document approval. This is when the content leader examines the developmental editor's revisions. Remember, the content leader is the content expert, so he or she has to feel comfortable knowing that the supplemented research agrees with what he or she has determined from the very beginning. Adjustments, if necessary, are made by both members. Once both members, that is the content leader and the developmental editor, feel like they like their document and they both agree with the content, they have gone through the document and they have scrubbed it for grammatical errors and mechanical errors, they are ready to hand off this project to the quality assurance member as if it is a finished product. In step 11, this is where the quality assurance member comes in. The most common objection to the revision option is that it creates more work for the teacher. This is having a quality assurance member helps the teacher out in this way. The third team member, the quality assurance member, reviews the almost finished piece for minor grammatical, mechanical, formatting errors, content ambiguity, and flow. Again, this can all be done through Adobe or Google Drive, where you're posting comments, sticky notes, and what have you. QA member shares those comments and suggestions with the other team members for adjudication. And then the last step is for final approval. Glenn says students have probably never revised a research essay, and they put an enormous effort into producing a strong first draft. It is true that students do put a lot of effort in the first draft, and this teaches students that drafts have several copies, and they have to go through several copies before they actually have a finished product. The content leader and the developmental editor vote on the final product. If the vote is no, then we go back through steps 8 and 9. That is when they continue to post comments and adjudicate comments, going through the document based off of what the quality assurance member has suggested. If the vote is yes, then they share the document with the teacher for grading. And this concludes our assignment on collaborative writing. Now, as I was saying to you earlier, we wanted to find out how we can use this assignment to enhance and to adapt. And there are several ways that you can do this. You want to be able to use these members in different roles for different groups. For example, the quality assurance member has the smallest amount of work to do in one project, so you may assign the quality assurance member in one team to be the content leader in another team, and you can have each member working on 2 or 3 writing assignments at once. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I enjoy teaching it to you, and I hope you have a good evening. Thanks so much.